start with the Chargers. And this is a question that every team's going to be asking themselves this year. But I think obviously it's going to affect the Chargers the most is how will they adjust without a home field advantage this year? Is
How will they handle it?
How are they going to do it with no fans or lack of capacity or whatever they decide? I'm not sure what they decide. But obviously that's not my real question. But is a good defense good enough for them, basically? Because I'm not super high on their offense. I mean, we got Tyrod Taylor possibly doing things, maybe Justin Herbert. But I believe in their defense, but it's like, can they win? Is that defense good enough to win them games or like set up their offense where their offense doesn't have to do enough? I mean, you've got Derwin James. He missed 11 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
They signed Chris Harris. You've got Kenneth Murray for a first-round pick. And, you've got Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram. And I just think there's a chance where that defense could be really good this year, hopefully, if they stay healthy. And that's my question is, like, can their team ride their defense enough? Because I don't think their offense can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if they provide the opportunity for the offense just to make a couple plays and not lean on them is my key thing.
The Chargers are one of the most puzzling teams in the NFL for like the past decade. They confound me, especially these past few seasons where the team was almost the exact same build last year as they were the year before when they made the playoffs. And yet the results were drastically different as to how the season went. And it makes me wonder, because I agree. I very much like the defensive build. And I even like a lot of the pieces on offense. I think the offensive line struggled last year, but that was partially because of just preseason injuries to some of their starters. And then you've got some good weapons. I like Austin Eckler. Keenan Allen is good. You got Hunter Henry.
Mm-hmm.
You've got pieces. And so why wasn't it working? Why was it not finding success in years past? Which brings me to believe, why should I have faith in this team now that you don't have a veteran quarterback there running the offense anymore? Which brings me to my question. Does a mobile QB make that much of a difference in an Anthony Lynn offense? Because ever since Anthony Lynn came in to start coaching the Chargers, the thing is that everybody knew he preferred a mobile quarterback. And newsflash, Phillip Rivers is not a mobile quarterback. So now he's got two of them. He's got Tyrod Taylor and he's got Justin Herbert, who, although is big, is known to be able to use his feet to make some plays. Is that going to change how this team just looks for the entire season? Because they lost so many games last year that confounded me with how talented they are. Does that make a difference any now that they have the kind of quarterback that Anthony Lynn wants to run? I don't know. This team confuses me every year.
I agree. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference, to be honest. And I think that's a great question for the Chargers. And I don't even know what to expect from them this year because it could go either way, which it goes either way for them all the time.
Yeah, it's always good or bad.
So, but I've got the Raiders up next, and I know, you mentioned it earlier about trying not to ask so many QB related questions, but it's hard, and I think this is how much longer for Derek Carr, because if they're choosing Derek Carr or Gruden, they're going to choose Gruden, obviously.
Yeah.
And then, there's a quote hit of Derek Carr saying he's tired of being disrespected and stuff like that. And I know he's still got 3 years remaining on his 5-year contract, and it's like $125 million extension. Like, he's an expensive QB, relatively, and stuff. And then there's been quotes about Gruden commenting on him throwing dink and dunk passes, and he was saying that bubble screens and checkdowns only go so far with me. And I just don't know how long he's got in there. And I kind of like Derek Carr, but I don't think Gruden's the most patient guy in there. And I think I could see them going for another QB. And I honestly would have loved if they signed Cam this year, but that
would have been really interesting.
It would have been fun to see what Gruden could have done with him. But
yeah, I was tempted to also go with the Derek Carr question, but instead I'm going to go slightly different and go, is Henry Ruggs the best receiver in this draft class? Because he was the first one taken off the board. And I'm not convinced he's better than Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb. And And then, of course, there's always the later round receivers that there's always one that's primed to break out as well, especially in as deep of a class that was this past draft class. I'm curious, though, because going back to the whole number one receiver makes your entire wide receiving core better. They kind of need him to be that way. They kind of need Ruggs to be that double man guy. They need him to be like a Tyreek Hill that he's kind of drawn up to be. Can he do that? Because if he can, there's no excuse for Derek Carr. He should be having one of his best seasons of his career this year. He's got Josh Jacobs. He's got a decent line. He's got some wide receiving pieces that are there for him. The defense is looking pretty good. This is a playoff team. It's Derek Carr's to take if Henry Ruggs is as good as they drafted him to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I honestly, I don't know if there's a huge difference between those three wide receivers, because I think obviously we know there were studs in this draft class.
Yeah,
wide receiver. So it will be interesting to see which wide receiver ends up being the best. And hopefully Derek Carr will be able to pull together. I honestly think he'll be out of there if he doesn't.
Yeah.
But we've got the Broncos. And then when I was researching the Broncos, trying to find a question for them, all I kept on coming up was like, there's a lot of hype on Drew Lock for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
And
lots of it.
It was insane. I was kind of shocked. There is an article on ESPN. It was Broncos get the real Drew Lock with swag in year 2. And then there's another title, one that was Broncos QB Drew Lock does a lot of cool S word with his arm, says NFL exec. So my question is the hype real for Drew Lock? I know he went 4-1 in his starts last year, but I was shocked. I was like, I didn't know there was this much hype around him, honestly. And then when I started reading, I was like, man, the people covering this team seem in love with him. The teammates seem like they really like him. And I think that'll be interesting to see, because I don't follow the Broncos super closely, but it'll be interesting to see if those reporters and the team and the people putting out the information are correct about being excited about Drew Lock's second year.
Yeah, this is one of the questions where, I try to avoid just saying, it's all up to the quarterback, but this is one where it really is the question. You got a defense that really turned a script this past season with Vic Fangio there, helping them get back to their previous form when they were winning the Super Bowl. They're good there. You got some good pieces now at wide receiver. You've now got a great situation where you're going to debate between who's better, Melvin Gordon or Phillip Lindsay at running back. You've got some pieces there. And you've got an offensive line that's a little shaky. You have some question marks there. But my question is, how does Drew Lock handle the rigors of a full season, especially with some tough matchups? They got the NFC South, if I remember correctly, that they have to play up against. They have each other. The AFC West is insanely competitive. This is a tough division to be a part of. And then you've got the AFC East, which, it's not the same without the Patriots being dominant, but now you've got the Bills that you have to be up against. You've got a growing defense in Miami, and we'll see how the Patriots defense looks with those missing parts, but Bill Belichick seems to make it work always. Can Drew Lock handle a 16-game season? Because, 4-1 was pretty impressive last year, and it was pretty cool how confident he looked. But can he look that confident after he has a bad game or two? Because they're going to happen.
Mm-hmm. It will be interesting to see. And then finally, our last team, the Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs. And my question is pretty simple, is can they run it back? The last time we had a back-to-back champion was in 2005 with the Patriots. It's done 8 times before, but obviously it happened more. And it's been over a decade since the last time. And I think they can do it. It's challenging. Obviously, they've got tons of talent on both sides of the ball to make plays, to make probably some of the best skills position players in the NFL are on this team.
Yeah.
And I think they can, but I don't necessarily hope they can. I guess out of the AFC, I'd be fine with them winning it again because I like Patrick Mahomes. But are they going to be able to do it is obviously their biggest question.
Well, my question kind of takes that and hints at how I feel it is. My question is, who or what is going to stop them? Because at this moment, I don't see a reason why the Chiefs don't win the AFC again. The Ravens are a really good team. They could pose a good threat, but that offense is phenomenal. And they only got better with Clyde Edwards-Helaire being added to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the defense has still got all those pieces. They were able to wrap up Chris Jones. They still got Frank Clark. You've got a secondary that's in its year 2 now of growing and becoming better. I just don't see how this Chiefs team does not win the AFC again unless we see a surgent team come up to compete with them, or if they get plagued with injuries, or if just some other tragic thing happens. I mean, who knows? COVID-19 could hit any one of these teams and they have to step out of the league. I don't know. I'm not wishing that upon anyone.
Yeah.
I'd hate for that to happen, especially to a team vying for a Super Bowl. But at this point, I don't see any reason why not go back to the Super Bowl, at least go back to the Super Bowl. And I think they could win it again.
Yeah. And I there's stories out there like people questioning, has Patrick Mahomes peaked? Like, people don't peak this early all the time.
Oh,
like, could he get better? Like, it's like that thought. It's like, last year he's like, yeah, I'm just starting to learn to read defenses. Like, he's doing it on talent alone and not, brains all that. Like, I'm not saying he's like not using his brain, but like the more he's in the league, like, is he going to be able to like, read the defense earlier on? And those are scary questions.
He hasn't played football for that long. Like, when you think about most NFL quarterbacks, so the guy is incredible.
Yeah, that's a terrifying thing to see, and I think they have a chance at it.